Alright, it is time for yet another video. I tried to get this one out a little bit earlier, or at least about on time, in order to make up for the fact that I missed a video a couple days ago. So, hopefully it should be all good now. This is Pettas Vera. He's a brand new enemy. He's not based off of a previous enemy like Next Vera was. Excuse me. Next Vera was based off of Next Alio, I believe. So he's brand new. He's a brand new dude. He's his own thing. So he's based primarily off of the Pettas and Pettas enemies you see in the base game. They can come in a number of different forms, but he only uses two weapons. He's got his little gun and he's got his little sword. And he can also use his fists every now and then, but like that. So his big deal right now is he's got a number of different. Well, he's got two phases basically. He enters his second phase pretty early on. Right now, he's mainly just going to be jumping around, shooting at us, swinging his sword. He's not amazingly well telegraphed, I will say. It's hard to tell where he's going to do his sword swing, or if he's going to slam his fist down, or where he's going to stab you. That's my main complaint with him, that he's just not super well telegraphed. So it's kind of hard to tell what he's going to do at any given time, or whether or not he's going to be aiming at you, especially with people all bunched up together. So the main thing right now we're trying to do is, honestly, this is not the optimal strategy. We're just trying to break his chest, which exposes his core, which is a strategy. It's not the best one. The current strat, which for some reason people seem to be ignoring a bunch, is to attack, put a weak bullet on one of his legs, attack the legs. Melee with the melee I can actually hit the weak bullet, and then once that's done, focus on wherever his core shifts to. So once he enters his second phase, his core will pick one of the three locations on his body, which are, he's got one on either knee and one in the chest that it can potentially be at. And then once he enters the second phase, his core will be there, and you just focus that area. Some people like to focus the back. He has a bunch of ice bits when he enters second phase, and there's a bunch of other stuff on his back. Hitting his back prevents him from going into the air, but honestly, not worth it. It's kind of pointless. You're better off just focusing the other areas. So if you do that, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Sorry. I don't understand the point of doing that. Like, it doesn't even make him go any faster. It's just you do a bunch of less damage for a while, and then you can do a little bit more damage for not very long, because it takes so long to break his back that it's not worth doing it. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not worth it. There's no point in doing that unless you have, okay, and maybe unless you have a ton of melee, when it's like mostly melee. It's like, oh, if you're like at like 6-7 melee and 1 ranged, which you shouldn't be at, especially if you pre-made a group. If you're in pubs, okay, I guess that happens, but unless you're just stacked up on melee, which our group is like mostly ranged, so you can see that. Okay, there's a chest breaking. Why are you trying to focus the back? I do not understand that. Even though I'm playing melee right now, like I went back to playing melee. I've been like ranged for a while. I would prefer to just focus their stuff. So once his chest breaks, then I think he automatically switches into second phase, although I think he can do it after you just deal enough damage. He's also got the same break system from Next Vera. The same concept there. Also weak to electric, so you can proc that on him. So there he goes. He gets 2 X-bits on his legs and one on his chest and one on his back, and see the core is in his his right leg, although it's on our left. Once he gets to this phase, he starts spawning these little crystal pound things. They can shoot lasers in a bunch of different patterns, and they can also fire them off as like little projectiles. So that's his big. That's what he does, I guess. Yeah, you can see me not focusing the core there. Bad Scorpion. Don't do that. And you can even use them while not just flying up in the air. I think I'm just trying to break all the parts at this point. I don't know. I don't remember why I was so obsessed with doing that. I guess because of Monster Hunter. If you see me do that, you know I'm always trying to break all the parts. So yeah, that's probably why I'm doing that. There's no real point. It doesn't really get you anything. And I don't think he even has enough health to actually break all the parts. Because both the chest and the back take so much to break that, like... I think breaking all the ice bits on him is pretty unrealistic. I mean, maybe you could do it, but... until, like, harder versions of him come out, which if they ever do, I'd say it's pretty unlikely for that to ever happen. So, there we go. That's me thoughts. What else? Unlike Pettas Vera, there's not really much to say at this point. You've seen basically all his attacks. He's got his lasers, he's got his various weapons, and you've seen all his mechanics. And that's basically it. You know? Yeah, I don't have much else to say. So I guess now I shall talk about other things. So, recently I decided giving I decided to give Final Fantasy XIV Online a try. I don't know if I'll stick with it. You know, it's still early days. And honestly, I haven't even really gotten past, like, the very early game. So, earlier today, I was gonna try and get on because... well, if you've seen the news around Final Fantasy XIV, one Mr. Asmon Goldfish... thank you for that person on my Discord... decided to start playing it, and that created a huge influx of players, so... I think it took me, like, an entire... I had to wait overnight for the servers to finally be down enough to me to actually get into the game, which was... not great, but, you know... what can you do? Oh yeah, his sky lasers, I forgot about those. Whoops. So that took a while, and then when I actually got into the game, I discovered, to my utter horror, that FF14 does not have one of my most treasured features of third-person games, and that is free camera rotation without having to hold any buttons. So this has been in basically every game I've played. So Warframe has this, although Monster Hunter has this, all versions of it, although the Rise... I need to get back into Rise. Whatever. Rise has it, BSO2 has it, New Genesis has it, what else? I think Divinity has it. I'm referring to Divinity Original Sin 2. Like, basically every game I've played that hasn't been from a fixed perspective has free camera rotation just by moving the mouse. The only games that I think are good games that I've played that don't have it are, like, Dota 2 and, like, some side-scrolling games. And in that case, it's understandable why they don't have that, because where are you going to scroll to? Well, the exception is Dota, but vision's actually kind of important in that game, like maintaining it, and seeing around the map, and they can only really show you so much at once. It's not really, you don't really get anything by changing the perspective in that way, unlike in a 3D game. There's more than two axes of movement, if you will. There's kind of a third axis in Dota, but I won't get into the specifics of Dota camera movement, as that's outside the scope of this video. Yeah, it didn't... FF14 does not defaultly come with the ability to just move your mouse and have the camera rotate around your character, which I think is a tragedy. Like, oh boy, like, it's so awkward to just try and move it. So eventually, after like an hour, I ended up having to use like a mouse macro to basically... I had to set it so that whenever I hit right-click, it holds down the button, the program holds down the button for me, and then I can move it around, and I hit right-click again, it unlocks it from being constantly held down. Which is beyond stupid. Like, I also had to set up a bunch of keybinds to switch it in and out of hold down right-click when I click it mode, so it was a giant mess, and there was points in my journey of trying to fix this, I was so tempted to just go back to PSO2, because I remember you say how people say that you never know how much something was worth to you until it's taken away. I never knew how much I liked just being able to move my camera around with my mouse until I couldn't. When it happened, I was like, oh my goodness, not having this is such a liability. And I don't understand why they don't just make it an option you can turn on and off. Because when I was doing my research for it, I saw people like saying, hey, it'd be really cool if we could just move the mouse around and have the camera move with it. For like 5-6 years at this point, and it would literally be just like it would take them like maybe 5 minutes to do. I don't know. I don't know how they have it programmed, but from what I've seen of how programming games work, it should only be taking them like 10 minutes at worst to do this. Like this should be pretty easy. Maybe an hour if I'm being extra double generous. So, yeah. All right, that's my rant on Final Fantasy XIV's camera controls done. I probably won't put any content of it on the channel. Most likely not. Maybe if I find something if I get a cool boss run or something. If I just find something funny happens and I happen to catch it, maybe I'll do that. But, I don't really. I feel like it doesn't really suit the style of games I tend to play. I like to record specific cool sort of missions. So with Monster Hunter, that's fighting all the monsters. With PSO2, it's just the whatchamacallit, the urgent quests. So, probably not going to record anything unless to get really, really deep into high-end rating, and then I start to be able to do the really hard stuff. But the chance of that happening is pretty low. PSO2 is still going to be my main game. I just picked it up mainly just to have something else to do when I'm not doing PSO2 stuff. And, variety is the spice of life and all. So, that's sort of my whatchamacallit, my stance on it. Alright, as you can see, we are continuing to wail on Mr. Pettas Vera, broken his little ice bit on his leg and one on his chest. And, yeah, we're just continuing to beat the crap out of him, nothing more to say. And fortunately, my Final Fantasy XIV rant has carried me quite a way. Also, I'm gonna say something else. To the people who, when I was looking through the forums, looking for guides on how to fix the camera controls, people seemed oddly dismissive, which really pissed me off. I challenge you to play most third-person games with any sort of action sort of element while having to manually hit a button and drag the camera around. In Monster Hunter, that would get you killed. In Warframe, at best it would be a massive handicap. In PSO2, also, you're probably dead. It's so much easier just to move the camera around with your mouse. It feels way more responsive. It's just better. I'm sorry, it's just better. Ugh. And people's response being go play an FPS, I'm sorry, but screw you, dude. That's just... It shows you haven't ever really played any other games. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a just callous, stupid response. It shows a lack of intelligence bordering on insanity. Yeah, telegraphing. He is really badly telegraphed. Right there being the primary example. Alright. Now, my anger is out, my rant is over. Back to the game, so... yeah, so... I don't have much else... Again, I don't have much else to say. Oh yeah, my outfit, I've mentioned, I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Yeah, this is the Vial set, which I really wanted for a very long time. And I ended up spending an inordinate amount of SG in order to obtain it. and now I don't even wear it anymore. Although I do have, like, one of the features I really like about this game is the ability to just, like, save a custom look and then just load it up at any time. Very nice. So I do have to save this custom look. So, not current. Though I'm not using it currently, which I think you will see in my next video, which will be about Gigantics, which they actually made some changes to there recently, and I will talk about it then. But yeah, I have videos of all 4 Gigantics boss monsters currently in the game coming up. Although once Wednesday comes around, I think. Is it Wednesday? Yes, once Wednesday comes around on the 21st, I believe we're actually getting some new Gigantic enemies, so I will put that in its own separate video. So that's next on the channel. I know we're getting some new content then. Right now, we've just had the seasonal update and the with like the seasonal enemies and the marked enemies and whatnot, and the new weapons and I think a couple new augments. I don't remember. Either way, that's what's coming. Look forward to it. That's what you're into. Oh, we did get the second leg break. Nice. But yeah, back break's not gonna happen because he's about dead. And there we go. That is Pettas Vera done. Alright. And decent enough little mission, although, again, telegraphing needs some work. But that will just about do it from me. I hope you enjoyed my little tirade. Yeah, I will see you around this time next week. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.